With the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback, Alabama.
Well, there it is, which means for the first time since Kellen Moore, who is now the Cowboys' offensive coordinator, threw a pass, we're going to have a left-hander who's going to throw a pass in the NFL.
Well, no question about it. It's interesting, Trey, that when he suffered this injury, a lot of people going into the draft thought, well, he's going to have a redshirt year anyways. Even if we draft him, we're going to sit him for a year. I think when people saw that workout, they said to themselves, well, maybe not. He looks really good. He looks explosive. Those are things that he was built on in college. The quickness of his feet, the ability to redirect his feet, to buy time in the pocket. I think we all loved what we saw in that video. But, Mel, it's still a big question. What will Miami do with him? Will they try to rush him onto the field, or will they give him a year to get healthy?
We got good news for Tua here. We got good news for Tua. With the 18th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Austin Jackson, tackle, USC.
You know what just happened? Roger Goodell tipped the pick. He said we got good news for Tua. You knew it had to be an offensive lineman. And there is Austin Jackson, first team all Pac-12 out of USC as a junior last year. Ran the 40 at 5.07 at the combine at 6'5", 322 pounds. His grandfather, Melvin, was an offensive lineman at USC's national championship team in '74 and played 64 games for the Green Bay Packers. But as his family, Jackson donated bone marrow to his sister last summer. Autumn Jackson has a rare disease called diamond black fan anemia, a genetic disorder that prevents her bone marrow from producing red blood cells. As a sibling, Austin Jackson was the best match, but it was only about a 25% possibility that his marrow would match. There are 12 markers they use to designate whether or not someone's a good match. Austin Jackson was a perfect 12 for 12. And this was not an easy thing that they do. The extraction is done using a large needle with a handle at the top that they twist into the bone like opening a wine bottle with a corkscrew. But Austin did that for his sister. His sister's doing well. And now the Dolphins hope Austin does well.
With the 30th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Noah Igbenogany, defensive back, Auburn.
Okay, somewhat of a surprise here because remember, they paid Byron Jones and Xavier Howard all that money to be the top two paid corners in the NFL, and now they take another corner, Noah Igbenogany, out of Auburn.
With the 39th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Robert Hunt, tackle, Louisiana Lafayette.
Well, there he is. Robert Hunt is now off the board, and Robert Hunt is a fascinating prospect here because Robert Hunt in the last two seasons allowed a total of 5 quarterback pressures and 574 pass blocks. He did not have a single blown block on any of his 216 rushes in the last 2 seasons. Daniel Jeremiah, again, if you want to see someone abuse another man, this is the videotape you want to watch.
No doubt, Trey. I'll be fascinated to see what the Dolphins are going to do with him because some teams think he'll kick inside the guard, but at right tackle, you want to see somebody unload on defenders at the line of scrimmage, just roll his hips, explode, and bodies go flying all over the place, collecting knockdown after knockdown. You see him also get out in space. He's got some nimble feet when he gets out there. I thought this is somebody that's going to be a plug-and-play guard, but the Miami Dolphins might give him a shot to start outside before kicking him inside. They've done a nice job with 2 offensive linemen now to put in front of Tua Tagovailoa, like what they did with Austin Jackson. Now they come back with Robert Hunt.
With the 56th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle, Alabama.
All right, Raekwon Davis was a very, very productive player, Booger, at Alabama. What are the Miami Dolphins getting in someone that has been through the Nick Saban system?
Now there were 70 picks into the NFL draft. I'm moving over to my easy chair where I usually watch my NFL football. I'm much more comfortable over here. With the 70th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Brandon Jones, defensive back, Texas.
All right, Brandon Jones is an interesting kid, a 3-year starter for the Longhorns, but he couldn't work out at the combine because of a torn labrum. So he decided he was going to show teams how smart he was. He asked for every snap of every play defensively of every team. Now, he didn't get through all of them, but he watched about 4 quarters or 4 games for every team. Speaking of offensive linemen out of Georgia, the Miami Dolphins have now taken a guy whose name was Big Fish because he was a lifeguard at his community pool in Jacksonville, Solomon Kinley. Daniel Jones, Jeremiah, you don't see a lot of 337-pound lifeguards.
I'd be a little bit nervous if I was floundering in the pool there, for him to get out of the chair and come get me. But this is somebody that, when you watch him, the best thing that he does is anchor in pass protection because you can't get through him. Got that huge belly. He's able to really sink his weight and stun people when they try and get through him. In the run game, out in space, he's going to struggle once he gets out there. If he has to recover some in pass protection, going to have issues there as well. But remember, they drafted Tua Tagovailoa, who's not the tallest quarterback in the world. So to have a firm anchor up front to give him space to see is going to be crucial for the Dolphins.
Strobridge is off the board. The defensive end out of North Carolina goes to Miami. Jason Strobridge, excuse me. What can you tell me about him, DJ?
Yeah, he's fascinating when you watch him because I'm not sure he was played in the proper position. They played him in a tight alignment. They didn't give him a lot of space to work. He went to the Reese's Senior Bowl. You got a chance to see him both outside in a wide technique, and then you saw him rush over a guard, and I thought he was much more comfortable in those 2 alignments than where he played on a down-in, down-out basis at North Carolina. He's got a quick swim move. He can press out blocks. He'll throw his hip at double teams and hang in there, even though he's a little bit undersized. But, Lewis, I thought the Reese's Senior Bowl gave us a glimpse. This kid might end up being a better pro than he was in college.
At Boise State, named first-team All-Mountain West 3 times, and the conference's all-time sack leader, Daniel, with 34.
Yeah, and this is a classic case of bad body, good player. He's not going to wow you when you see him kind of on the hook there. But what he does have is a knack of getting to the quarterback. Not a real explosive first step, but he's got this wiggle and the ability to bend. Once he gets to the very top of his rush, you see his ability just to wrap around tackles, and he's an outstanding finisher. You see a little swipe move here. He can change directions. Again, he's one of those guys, I imagine you play a pickup basketball game, he wouldn't be one of the first guys to be picked, and you'd never be able to get him off the court because he'd just win. He's a sneaky good athlete with a ton of production.
Well, he's also a guy that's got a pretty big personality. He's been called the funniest player on the Boise State team. All right, meanwhile, we've got our long snapper off the board, Daniel Jeremiah, and shockingly, it's another LSU player. That's his brother, Reed Ferguson, who has played for the Bills, and he's currently there now. What can you tell us about what the Dolphins just got?
Well, I can tell you, look, you've got the brother connection there. 8 straight years LSU's had the long snapper in the family here. This guy, Trey, I'm going to be totally honest with you. I've got background notes on him as a player from my sources at LSU. And in terms of the play notes, I'm not going to give you any because I didn't spend any time watching long snappers because I might not have much of a life, but it's not that bad. So this guy was on the SEC Players Committee and on the NCAA Players Committee. Very smart, already has his MBA, but I did not take touch-to-toe times.
Daniel, I don't know where they're going to play him, but I imagine he's going to help a Dolphins team that didn't have a runner rush for 250 yards this season.
Yeah, this is one of the easiest guys you can root for in this entire draft. Somebody that played slot, that wingback role, then played quarterback. Then he goes to the All-Star game, the East-West Shrine game, and they tried to move him around to different positions. And he was up and down. Look, he's going to need some polish as a route runner. Would take some time if he's going to be a receiver. Probably going to find his way as a third down back would be his best opportunity. But they gave him 1 rep in that game, Trey, at quarterback. They said, we'll give you 1 play at the 50-yard line. They put him at quarterback, and all he did was take it 50 to the house for a touchdown. So, you know when you get the ball in his hands, good things are going to happen.